All right, so I want to do a quick survey to start this off. And I want you to raise your hands if ever, as a kid, you daydreamed about fame or being famous. So raise your hand, put your hand up. Don't be shy. Oh, wow. I did not, that's like 80% of you. All right. I'm working with a great crowd. So I'm just like you. As a kid, I too daydreamed about being famous. I remember the first thing I wanted to be was a famous dinosaur writer. And it was off a cartoon. And my mother could not convince me this was not possible. But then I went through normal and I was like, I want to be an astronaut, a famous astronaut, or I want to be a famous television star. And so the question I want to pose to all of you is, why do we daydream about being famous? Why do we care about fame? And don't say that most people don't. A 1987 survey of Americans found that about 57% of Americans daydream about fame on an occasional basis, and about 30% of Americans daydream on a regular basis about fame or being famous. And it's not just a US phenomenon either. Similar surveys over the last couple decades have found similar numbers in China and Germany and elsewhere. The desire for fame and being well known is universal in our society. And so again, it's an incredible thing, but even more so, we will go to great lengths to achieve fame. And I'm going to give you a quick example. And so Ben Eisenkopf, a couple of years ago, started answering questions on Reddit about biology. He's a biologist, about animals. And so he started answering questions on Reddit, the social news site, and he started getting notoriety for this and visibility for this. And he's better known by a lot of people on Reddit as Unidan. And at a certain point, his thoughtful answers shot him through the ranks of Reddit. And at a certain point, he became the second most popular user on Reddit. And he was starting to gain national fame. He was being profiled in Fox News and being profiled in Mashable. But unfortunately for him, it wasn't enough. And what happened was at some point, he started creating alternative accounts to downvote his critics and to upvote his own submissions. And for those of you who are not familiar with Reddit, it's kind of like stuffing the ballot box with 3,000 or 4,000 extra votes when you're already polling up by 30%. He didn't need to do it, and yet he felt compelled to. And unfortunately, this is a story of a downfall because he was eventually caught. And when Reddit figured this out, they shadow banned him, and they banned his account and all of his accounts. And he was no longer a person of notability on Reddit. And there's the story. And so we will go to great lengths for fame. And so one more time, I want to ask you, why do we seek fame? And you might have a couple different answers to this. Some of you might say it's because we want to have power. Isn't this kid awesome? We want to have power or authority over others. And yet other people might say it's because they want to have status or visibility. They want to be on the red carpet when nobody else can be. But my research and the research of a lot of other intelligent scientists, the conclusion is that these things are factors, but it's not the main reason why we care about fame. And so I want to tell you about a study done at Vassar College by Dara Greenwood, and her colleagues. And what they wanted to figure out was, what were the underpinnings of fame? And so what they did is they surveyed over 400 US adults, and they asked them about whether or not they desired certain fame factors and whether or not they daydreamed about fame. And so Dara and her colleagues would ask on a scale of 1 to 7, questions like, do you want to see your face on the front of a magazine? Or do you desire to have millions of Twitter followers? Or do you desire fame so that you can promote good in the world? And at the same time, this research study, these people, they asked these subjects about certain factors about their personality, about figuring out whether or not they had narcissistic traits or they cared about belonging in the community. And what they found was that while there is a correlation between certain factors like a desire for status or power or narcissism and a desire for fame, it isn't the main thing. The main factor, the main correlation is belongingness, is a desire to belong to a community, to be accepted by others, to be validated and acknowledged by your friends, by your peers, by your colleagues, by strangers. And this starts out even as we're kids. And this is from a different study that surveyed a group of children and found that children believe that fame is the quickest and simplest path to achieving belongingness, that whether it's right or wrong, fame is the way to achieve that. And whether it's true or not doesn't matter. This is what we believe fundamentally. And it drives our desire for fame. Because belongingness, in my opinion, is a fundamental human need. There was a study done at BYU that found that when you think about your friend circles and where you belong, you are more likely to say that life itself has more meaning. And so belongingness is correlated to having meaning in your life. And this is part, again, why we so desire fame. Because we don't want to be alone. We want to belong. And this desire for belongingness, this desire for validation, and this desire for fame leads to a couple of interesting factors and a couple of interesting things that have happened in our modern society. One is a rapid increase in celebrity culture and a desire for celebrities and a paying attention to them. And so this is actually a screenshot from an interview I did for my book. And this is Dr. Thomas de Gotita over on the left here, who's the author of the book Mediated. And on the right is Adrian Grenier, who's best known as Vinny Chase in the show Entourage. And they may seem like an odd pair, but together a few years ago, they did this great documentary called Teenage Paparazzo. And it followed this young teenage paparazzi as he was trying to get pictures of celebrities. But what it did more was dive into the culture of celebrity and understanding why we care about celebrities. And the three of us sat in New York, and we discussed this for a long time, and we came to the conclusion that it's about identity, that being a fan of a certain celebrity is an indication of the tribe you belong to or want to belong to. It says something about you and who you belong to, whether or not you're a fan of Justin Bieber or Taylor Swift or Sheryl Sandberg. It says something about us. And in fact, there's a scientific term for this phenomenon. It's called the Parasocial Relationship. It is our capability to feel like we have a direct relationship with a celebrity, even though that person does not have a relationship back with us. I'm sure most of us could probably describe Jennifer Lawrence's personality, or at least what we perceive to be her personality. But yet, she could not describe probably any of our personalities, or even know who we are, and yet we feel a bond with her that may be just as strong, or if not stronger than the bond we have with our colleagues or friends. And I had a friend who works for a celebrity, and she told me that this celebrity once, when she came out in favor of Obamacare, she suddenly got Facebook post walls, and these posts were something along the lines of, "I thought I knew you, you betrayed me." I know, insane, right? But that's how powerful this impact is. And it all stems from this need for belonging and our association with belonging and fame. Now, there's another factor, even more important, that I think that this new world of modern technology and belongingness and fame has created, and it's something I like to call the validation society. And this is a term I coined a few years ago, after the fall of an app called Plancast. And this was my friend's company. It was a social event planning app. And my friend Mark Hendrickson wrote a great post-mortem about his company on TechCrunch. And one of the things he said that resonated with me was that on social media, we are not our true selves. We are not exactly who we are. We are projecting the best of us. You think about it, you're not posting your dull day. You're not posting, let's say, your saddest moments. You're posting the awesome places you're going, the cool people you're hanging out with, how much fun you're having. It's a reflection of what you want people to perceive you as. And I can't disagree with Mark Hendrickson's analysis. It definitely is an impact. But I think there's an even stronger reason for why we do this on social media. And it is, again, because of validation and belongingness. I don't know about you, but I get a high whenever one of my status updates goes viral, when I get 100 likes or 1,000 retweets or a bunch of comments. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this. And part of that reason is because this is a direct demonstration of validation and belongingness. Having 1,000 people say they liked what you said is a direct way to know that you belong, that you are liked, that you are smart to a group of strangers, to a group of friends, to a group of colleagues. Never in the history of mankind has belongingness been so easy to achieve. It is so easy to find a community to belong to. It is so easy to receive that validation. And so you may be asking yourselves a question, which is what is the consequences of the validation society, of the rise of fame, of our need for belongingness? Is this a good development or a bad development? And the answer is, I don't know, because I believe we're at a crossroads. There are a couple different directions we can take. On the one hand, social media has made it possible more than ever to achieve belongingness and validation and fame. It is easy enough now to find a community that you connect with, that you belong to, whether it's on a subreddit on Reddit or a different social network or community forum. And you see that now with YouTube celebrities and the rise of them and how much easier it is to become famous. But on the other hand, it has also created this capability to bully others in a way that has never been possible before. And especially on anonymous social networks, you see cyberbullying and you see these kind of issues coming about. And so I'm talking to all of you now. You are the next generation of community builders, of community organizers, of social network designers. We have a choice here. We can create products and we can create communities that help us feel like we belong and bring more belonging in our lives and make it easier for us to feel famous within our small group. Or we can create products and we can create services and communities that harm others, that exploit the fact that we need belongingness in our lives. And so I leave it to all of you to figure out which path we take into the future. Thank you.
Nice.